Yeah. Well, it must be great to see someone, like you said, live through some tough times, but do it with such poise and class. Because I think there's a lot of athletes in the endurance sports world, and I won't name names, but I think people can think of a few in different sports and in triathlon who've been maybe less than pleasant to deal with, and it's good to see someone who's really has that class and respect for the sport and the competitors all around him and the fans to do so well, because you don't always see that in endurance sports or any sports really.
Yeah, yeah, and everybody kind of thrives off different ways they perceive themselves. I mean, certainly Lance Armstrong, certainly had that. He would be the opposite of Sansego. He'd be cone ego, with ego, with mucho ego, and that worked for him. He won many years, but obviously asterisks all around that. But but at the end of the day, it's, can you look yourself in the mirror and be proud, not necessarily of what you've done, but how you've carried yourself. And I think there are an awful lot of athletes that have been influenced by Crowie, and not necessarily his results, but the way he carries himself off the race course. And I know there's a popular kind of media outlet called First Off the Bike in Australia, and they've termed coined the phrase the pros pro, the professionals pro, and that's the way they talk about Craig. And there's really, it couldn't be farther from it couldn't be closer to the truth there, because the other athletes that we manage, which are amazing now, younger than Crowie, but the Leanda Cave, the Rachel Joyce, the Tim Don, we have a couple of the young guns coming up, Clayton Fattel. These guys they ask me a lot of questions about what would Crowie do here? What is Craig doing? They want to know what he's doing, and it's not just like performance oriented questions. It's being professional. And so, yeah, I think, that's one thing that he's probably very proud of, if he's been able to even influence one athlete. And, I know that there are many, many athletes that have been influenced by him.
Yeah. Well, let me just ask you, because we're coming to the end here, but you really seem to have a passion around helping professional athletes, whether it's on their bike fitting or more importantly, helping them make an honest living in the sport. How hard is it, because you've seen the best guy in the sport do it, how hard is it to make a good living in the sport as a pro triathlete? What is it like to do this professionally? Is it all fun and games, or what is it like, so that you can give the age groupers and other people out there a sense?
Yeah, it's tough. And yeah, I've seen all both sides of the spectrum. The young guys coming into it, that are basically living off of prize money, to get to the next race, to the guys Crowie and Leanda's, and that have hit it well and been able to do really well in the sport. So it's tough, but I think the difference maybe between triathlon and maybe some other professional careers in sport, nobody does it to get into it for financial reasons. I mean, every pro out there, I mean, the amount of training they have to do to be competitive and to actually even survive, it takes a ton of time, a ton of devotion, and so they all do it for the right reason. So if you're fortunate enough to be able to really do well in the sport and make a living and set your family and your career up, that's amazing. But I don't really think anybody really starts off in it for those reasons. And so they're all passionate about doing it. And at the end of the day, it's like, if you're not happy doing it, why do it? So I think in general, that's why, I would say 90% of the professionals out there are very approachable and are typically pretty happy people with their lifestyle. I mean, it's a great lifestyle. You're exercising, you're getting to travel around. The community in triathlon is really unbelievably tight. I mean, and there's just kind of an unspoken respect between anybody who lines up on the start line, whether you are 200 pounds overweight and you're trying to, use triathlon to lose weight, or you have hit the very top of the, the pyramid, people find like a lot of things, they find this common bond, and I see a ton of respect. I mean, I've really never heard any of the professionals that I work with kind of looking down on any athlete or saying anything down about any other, amateur athlete in the sport. You just don't hear it. So it's very unique, but for sure, it's tough to make it, and the professionals need support in order to do what they do. They bring a lot of attention to the sport, and you can see there's more money, starting to come into the sport. There was a recent announcement of Challenge Bahrain, which is, has a $500,000 prize purse, which is pretty significant for a half Ironman here, but if there are age group athletes who own businesses and like to support professionals, there's definitely ways you can do that, not only for your business, but unique ways that you can help a professional and get some coaching or some advice or some attention for your brand. And really the professional side is relied on that for many years. So